G'day, guys. This is Jay here from Journey of a Whitefeather. Had a chat with Jay, but guess what? Other than kangaroos living in my backyard and koalas that live up north and I want to have one as a pet, I'm going to handball. Handball's at AFL, right? Australian football. I'm going to handball the reins to my bestie in Canada, Jackie. She's going to interview me. So instead of a chat with Jay, it's a chat with Jay about Jay. But
I love it.
who better else to interview than my partner over here to interview me about my life? And just quickly before I handle it over, the reason why I'm doing this is because I've done the Journey of a Whitefeather book, which I'm getting published very, very soon, which is all the poems. But I've always wanted to do a chat about my life. I didn't know where to start, and the universe brought me this. And then I go, and then Jackie came up. You can manifest anything you like, ladies and gentlemen. So over to the host of a chat with Jay, the beautiful Jackie Lyons.
Thank you. Guys, I am Jackie of Akashic Energy Healing, and I want to welcome you guys all to a chat with Jay today about Jay, as we said. And you guys should know me. I am a co-host with Jay on the 1111 Spiritual Transit podcast. And today we are going to start part one of this two-part journey with Jay into his early experiences through his journey, and we will conclude together, live together, as we kind of conclude up until where he is now and everything that's kind of transpired between that. First, I want to thank you, Jay, because we have kind of watched you bring to life so many other people's stories, and now I kind of get to put you in the hot seat a little bit and get some information from you for your guests. And it's kind of like that yin yang thing. So I love that I'm the one who's able to facilitate this for you and be the person that helps you share your story with the world, because it really is a truly amazing journey up until this point. And I just can't wait to see what happens as we move into part two. But
absolutely,
we're going to start, I guess, Jay, with anything that there's a couple things I think that we should start off right away so that we can just get straight into, your early years, I guess we would say. But there's a couple different things that people might not know about you, or maybe they know a little too much about you. But I want to start with the first one. You have a few names out there, and this kind of relates to my second question. So I want to start with, we know you as Journey as a Whitefeather. We know you as Words of the Warrior. I know you as the Shadow Master. And, so maybe you can kind of break that all down for us. What significance do these different names have for you, and what roles have they kind of played up until this point?
Well, thank you very much for everything and the lovely words. It comes down to knowing yourself, knowing myself. But I think let's go one step deeper, and this starts right up. I hated myself when I was a kid. I didn't realize that. So basically, with all these names coming from, I love comic books, I love pro wrestling and all that stuff. I wanted to be somebody. Thanks, Blackie Lawless. And the funny thing was, you're taking on a character that you wish you were. And basically, this all leads, even though today, the Shadow Master and all these things that, like you got Shadow Master, Words of the Warrior, and all this stuff together, it's all about the story about where I came from. And because I was masking myself and I was trying to be someone else than what I was, I always went into this fantasy world because I hated myself. I'm going to be straight out. I talk as I talk,
Please be as vulnerable as you feel comfortable with.
Oh no, I'll be letting fly. Don't you worry. But this is pretty much where I was living. When you have a position where you don't understand that you really don't like who you are, and really understand that you've got some serious work to do with inside, and understanding where you were as a kid, and when you have that spiritual awakening, you see back, you actually reflect as you're ascending more. And as you know, Jackie, when you ascend more answers come, and you have to question why you do these things. So for me, just to answer that question, yes, I like having tags and stuff like that, and they're reflections of who I am now, but it's also a understanding of why I was trying to hide my true self.
And do you relate different times in your life to different names that you went by? You know, like looking back where you like, I was Stephen when I was, you know, a kid, and that's the name that kind of associated to that time period, or vice versa with any of the other names. Does that ring true in any sense?
Absolutely. So I do. I do. My official name is I don't use it, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't like it. Number one. There we go.
Sorry, I said it. I know.
No. This is where it's gonna. No, don't be sorry at all. This is what we're gonna have an open, honest conversation, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I got someone I trust to actually do what I'm doing. My real name's Steve Ploxton. I hate it. All right. I was born with it, and for me, it represents. For me, I was born with it, and I respect it because I have a family with that name. That's it. Mm-hmm. But what I did was when I was younger, I tried to come out. This is where the changing of a guard in some ways and trying to be someone else, because I had so much issue when I was younger, and you know, you had your fears, you had your, you know, you were brought up a certain way, and when you understand, you're trying to break out to who you want to be. You wanted to be this great person, but you couldn't because you're getting held down for whatever reason. Okay, in my case, it was basically getting held down, you know, due to where I was parenting and all that kind of garbage, right? And you can't do that when you're a kid. Anyway, so pretty much then I went to when I came out of that, that's when I started having these sort of awakening processes and stuff like that. But also, you know, I was an ex-pro wrestler, Australian wrestling champion, all those kinds. It gave me an opportunity to sort of breed these new personas into myself, I guess, in some ways. But I've ended up with Jay because I was sort of led to that. I was led to there. And that's where, as I'm going over the place a little bit, but right now I've turned the clock and turned myself and looking at the mirror and looking at myself and where I was being. And I know that this name was sort of was drawn to me as it was on my journey to where I have to be. So I use Jay Stephenson as I do, as I guess a lot of actors and all that stuff, you know what happens. Yeah. But I think it's just drawn to a way, whether it be commercial, whatever. But for me, it symbolizes who I am right now. Okay. And I know I've got my, you know, identity as what it is, but it is what it is.
But do you feel that you are an embodiment of all the names and characters that you played? Because the next question I have really is about these characters and these personas. And I know you have transformed that into some amazing work that you do for charities and your pursuits of your passions and the cosplay as well. And I know you're this just huge light. I see you all over the place, you know, spreading love through these characters as well. So is that also an embodiment of this energy that you talk about with these different names and then different characters as well?
That's a good question. And I think I only came up with the answer only really a couple of weeks ago when we said, well, actually not a couple of weeks ago. So a couple of months ago, I came up with, a friend of mine said, you've got contagious energy that has been contained when I was younger, which we will go into later. So basically, to cut a long story short, I was always a vibrant, happy person, but then I was always held down, right? Okay. For whether it was me or someone else forcing it, all right? Mainly it comes down to how you were, right? So you can't blame anyone else, all right? It's why you're brought up, whatever the subconscious is doing, you know, or whether it was fear, whatever it was. So I went with that. But then what I found with myself is actually looking into why I was doing it. And then the good thing was you have this contagious energy. And only a couple of weeks ago, someone said to me, anything you do, you spread happiness to everyone. Everyone's happy. So if you're happy within it, you can give that, you can infectious out of your hands. So you can just go, right. So whether I'm Robin from the Melbourne Dynamic Duo, whether I'm Jay Whitefeather, the pro wrestling champion, or whether I'm, you know, playing the Village People when I'm doing the Village People act. All those kind of things were really interesting, where I came out of the person I was, or the person I was born, and developed these characters to be the person I wanted to be. And I had one question when I was doing the village people, which you'll get. One day I was saying, and this is the inner child work that you understand. When you look in and you be this person and you go into cosplaying and all that stuff, and people come to you, get photos and all that. And my question was, why don't you like me when I haven't got the costume on? And that resonated with me only till a couple of weeks, till I did my spiritual journey. Then I understood why it was like that. It was partly because of my subconscious programming and what I've done, but also the way I am as a person and not developing until, I mean, you understand this, developing and having that breakdown so you can actually say, right, this is where it's all at. This is where
the
it's all
characters in some way allowed you to express a side of yourself that you felt held back in your experience as a child.
Yes.
So I think we're going to start to move into that, because that really is the huge thing that allowed you to kind of shape this amazing persona that you've been able to kind of build for yourself with a lot of different avenues as a way, I guess, of facilitating energy. So maybe we should take a step towards that, if you're comfortable kind of moving into maybe giving us a little bit about you. Who's Jay? Mother, kids, brothers, sisters, early family, if you want to touch on that.
Absolutely. Well, this is the thing. When you were young, when I was younger, I obviously have a brother that I don't talk to anymore. It's done. And people can judge me for whoever it was. I couldn't care less. And you're gonna get a bit of resentment coming, resentful language coming, but that's just me expressing the way it is at the moment. And one thing you got to learn, ladies and gentlemen, there is forgiveness, but there's also don't forget who you are and what's happened. You can forgive, yes, but don't forget. That's all. That's all there is. And it's not a case of revenge and all that. It's just don't forget, because that's a lesson for the journey. Anyway, so to sum up a few things, you have your, hard upbringing. And again, I just want to specify, because I know we live in a social media thing. Anyone's journey and whatever they go through is their journey. And if it's like, feather touching their nose and they break down and cry, that's their journey. You shouldn't be judged. That's what I just want to say. So that's the way it is. Anyway, so pretty much when we went into it, there was a lot of I guess I'll call it militant, if you want. We all went through it, but it affected me because I felt like I was the black sheep of the family.
Okay.
I felt.
And did you say you had brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I did, but I do, and it was like the guided one. And there's a few things that come up now as you're talking, which is great. So we're going to part 2 once we get into this. I believe that I was definitely segregated in some way, because I did feel different. And obviously now I can see how different I am and where I was. And basically, for some unknown reason, I did feel like I felt like there was a bit of sort of envy or something to that degree, that you sort of have that white light around you. And it's also carried into adulthood, where I felt personally that when I went to work with other people or someone, there was a bit of envy and jealousy. I know I had that myself with people that I wish I was there. But I felt like I was getting held back by certain people because they felt that I was taking their spot.
Yeah. Okay. I know what you're
saying. And that started from a young age, because there was one.
Your light was too bright for them, for their darkness. Right. Pretty much.
Here's one for you. Now, how would you feel if you were publicly embarrassed at age 7, right? So I remember that. What did I do? As a young kid, I went to get a ball off the roof. Now, I didn't, Joe. I got the ladder out and everything. And this is what happened was, it was, okay, get a ball off the roof. And then after that, all I remember was being, I'll have to catch my words here a little bit, because I'll catch my word. Let's put it this way, being what's the word? I have to catch my words. So I do apologize for stopping and starting, because I don't want to use the wrong words.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll use
Please take
because
your time. It's important.
there's words in here that aren't that when you go through this that they shouldn't be used. Anyway, I was told. Let's put it this way: I was aggressively told that it was the wrong thing to do.
Okay.
All right. Then you were given your school bag, which is 7 years old, and told to go out the door, go and fend for yourself. How do you think you felt? That's a summary. And then what happened was, and God knows how I got through pro wrestling. God knows what I do now. I'm being a public speaker and all this. God knows how I do it. And credit to everyone who does this. But you've got 2 or 3 families in the street watching you walk with your bag around the corner. Tell me that doesn't psychologically stuff up some kid. That's number one. So we'll leave it at. So I could go into detail, but there's no point. But just for visionary's sake and for what we're doing here, think of that. So you're being told to get on your mark. You think you're doing the right. You probably did the wrong thing. Not saying you shouldn't be jumping on roofs or getting. I could justify it all I want, but going against for whatever it may be. But to be segregated and said, go fend for yourself in front of everyone, like you're being. So remember, I don't know. Is it the Romans? I think that they did the public.
Yeah, the public shaming.
That's where it is. Yeah. So emotionally,
and at 7 too, when you're so at this tender age of really starting to understand how you feel and how you fit into the world, right? You're just getting into school in front of I don't think people realize how something that you talk about as an adult can seem very insignificant, but to the mind of a child at that age, when it's somebody that they love and respect and care about as, a dad or someone you're looking up to, like that has lasting effects that haunt people for the rest of their lives. And it can be something, that seemingly as an adult is like, okay, when you're talking between 2 people, it's like, okay, might not be that bad, but we've been embarrassed 1,000 times since then. We've built up that level of, I guess, guardedness that you did not have at that age.
No, absolutely not. And I think, as you know, doing shadow work and all that kind of stuff, you understand it's critical the first 7 years of your life. Now, I could flash back to a few things that happened when I was 0 to 7 that were pretty traumatic for things that I did. I don't look. Were they worthy of it? I don't know. Was it that kind of time that people did it that way? Yeah, probably. And you can sit there and sook about it. But what I've taken from it now that only now, because I used to have regret, not regret and sadness and anger and everything about it. I use it as a learning curve now, and not to do that, but to understand and accept. Okay, that's all they knew. But then think about it. Would I do that to someone? Would I do that to the young kid? So I don't know where it all went. And it's we've all had it when we were younger. That was a generation of it. But you have to accept that did play a part in the 40 years that I had before I actually woke up and used that for a positive instead of a negative, if that makes any sense.
It does, because you see how many choices that you made out of the fear that was created from that moment, and how that moment shaped the choices you've made to speak up later in life because of fear of being shamed in such a way again. And
absolutely,
I think that's the thing about the realization that's really hard, is to know that it did affect 40 years of your life.
It did. The case of the matter is, it go the other way, where you had that, and then you had the cotton wool theory, which is basically overcompensating for. I could see this straight away what was happening. So I'm surprised I'm sane as I am.
Mm-hmm.
You had someone frigging cotton wooling you, and then the other one didn't give a shit. And this is my opinion. Okay, this is my opinion. I reckon I wasn't that light.
Yeah,
it was some sort of. The first thing that comes, because obviously going through these, and then people can believe what they want to believe with regards to spirituality and visions and feelings and all that. But the feeling after I actually did my spiritual breakdown, started to connect with the heart chakra and understand and go into that is
Yeah.
understand the first message that comes to me, because first message that comes to me is that I was a mistake.
Yeah.
And taking the ego out of it, that's the first thing that comes to me. Not to say I wasn't looked after and wasn't looked after. I'm here because that's fine, but that's what bloody people should do. As far in my opinion, if you've got a kid or got someone, you should bloody look after it.
Yeah.
All right, end of story. All right,
but do you think it takes us so long to look back at those moments because we're scared that when we do, we might actually find out that we are damaged or that we are
100%.
You know, if you have no, like, you are worthless. Mine was self-worth. So I think that's what it was. I thought if I actually start looking, I might find out I'm worthless, which is never the case. But I think that fear just kept me from, trying to figure it out sooner because, man, I was scared. So I can hear in your journey this real child that just, and I think it just needed a big love.
That's all I wanted. And it's a funny thing with that when you get, and I think the thing was, you didn't understand why. I played the victim for 40 odd years. But I didn't think I was, I'll be a bloody people pleaser. I don't mind doing things for people, Jack, right? But now I've got to the opinion where I'll do things for people, but I miss myself. But also, you don't do why. You have to ask why you're doing it.
Yeah.
That sounds bloody ridiculous because you're doing it for the betterment of someone else, right? That's fine. But for my case, why was I doing it? To fucking people please.
Yeah.
I remember once, right? Here's one for you. So I went, this is where memory jogging, this is why I'm so grateful for what you're doing, because this really helps me guide me through. So you get this vision, and these are the visions that you get, right? The vision of going to school when you're in grade 4, one, you do all the work, and so you give it out. One guy had, say, you had enough icy poles for 25. I was the 26th. So I missed out. Every time I played cricket, except for I was in the team, so I was at lunchtime, I'd be one just missing out on a bat. I'd be waiting there just for the bat. And that was the story of it, because you're too nice or whatever it may be. You do all the dirty work. Yeah. And that doesn't matter. And that doesn't mean what you do. So you look at that and what I'm doing now with the cosplaying, right? With the as Robin from the dynamic duo, because you're giving back that energy to people that need that. Mm-hmm. Right? You're doing it for love, and whatever you do, that's fine. So you can look at the way you're doing things. How you looking for publicity?
Well, the intention behind it, yeah.
The intention, so you get whatever. But the intention from where you're at and looking at what that experience had, it was that's what brought me. And I was playing the victim for fucking years, because until Greg Riley and Michael McNair, God bless them, and Deirdre James came along and said, everyone said I'm bigger than what I am. I'm a big personality. But I wasn't. I was acting the big personality. How the hell I got through wrestling has got me absolutely fucked.
Well, let's get into that. Like, so you say that you kind of lived 40 years in your life before you started to even realize that you were going through these subconscious programs, and that was how long from before now? 10 years?
I'd say being aware of, say, I do a massage, myotherapy, being aware of health and fitness, right? And spirituality and all that. We're aware of it. We were playing in it. We really were playing it. And what it was now that we're fully envisioned and fully in depth in what we're doing, we're living it now. We're not playing it. Whereas there, it was an outlet, which was really nice. And we'll go back and talk about synchronicities later. But it was sort of like the universe saying, okay, the easiest way to describe it, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Here's a cage. You get your day release, and you go back in. And the day release is, oh, my God, I got lollies. I got ice cream. Oh, this is great. This is great. Okay, back you go. Into the cage again. And 5 years ago, I actually basically broke out of the cage. And think about this, ladies and gentlemen. This is how I describe things. I love using analogies. If you're stuck in a cage for you're stuck in a cage for 25, I'd say 30 years, right? What happens when you walk out? Everyone says you should be able to heal from it, but you still got to get used to walking the path and feeling the emotions and everything, because you're used to one thing. You're used to dark, now you're used to light. So that might have gone
What
off track a
was
little
it
bit.
that, can you give us a little bit about the sequence of events that transpired to your early awakening, or your early kind of awareness that is bringing you towards your greater understanding of yourself?
Yep, I can give you the one. I'll give you the one reason it happened.
Okay.
I'll give you the one because there's significant things, ladies and gentlemen, that play a part, but there's always one thing. One thing was if you lose your foundation, ladies and gentlemen, you're fucked. Okay? I'll tell you that straight up. All right? And it takes a big person to build their own foundation. The foundation was, for me, was a particular person in my life that I thought was, as I said to you, I'm using analogies here. Certain person in my life made a crack about a situation that was in my life, and I'm thinking, and basically, okay.
What do you mean, like a joke at your expense?
A joke at my expense.
Okay.
But a serious joke, but basically broke my trust.
Oh.
And it was someone in the foundation of me, and that basically cracked me.
So you're saying somebody who was a pinnacle player in your personal life relationship did something to, I guess,
and that
crack your stability. Okay.
And that cracked me. So basically what happened was And basically it was basically like when you were younger, you basically took the trust. They saw something. Okay. They saw a card that was written to me from someone else. Okay. Which was basically and we know where we're going with this. As I said, we're talking about parental figures. Okay. There you go. Parental figure took a card that was written to me, went to another family member and took the piss out of it. And go, what? And it was like basically saying a joke card. Like I might say, oh yeah,
like they took a personal item that belonged to you and then shared it with somebody else and kind of were joking and laughing at your expense.
And joking and liking and making fun of it. And then I lost
And you overheard this, or we got back to you?
I saw it. It was basically given to me. I go, where's this card gone? And the person goes, oh, I did this and I said this. I go, oh, really? And I fucking lost it.
Wow. Okay.
I lost it. And that was the catalyst to saying that when you're given trust to somebody, and this is how pure white light you can be. If someone gives you trust, or you assume that you're brought into this world by particular people, okay, mother and father, hint, hint, and they break your trust to a kid, that's fucking massive. And that's what actually set me off on my journey, because I lost me shit.
Yeah.
And I was in and out of hospital with bloody anxiety attacks. I had a pseudo stroke. I was on the side of a road. I was driving to the doctor, right, Jack, during this time. And it's all to do with panic attacks, ladies and gentlemen. But that's not to disregard what could have happened. Okay? I felt my left side all going. All right? And I felt limp in my left side. I was like, fuck, here we go. Then I ended up parking the car and laying on the road. And some people picked me up and put me in an ambulance and went. Wow. And this was basically... And that is exactly what happened. So that moment ticked off all this stuff. Everything had to happen. Don't get me wrong. Everything had to happen. Okay, for where I am right now. And I can teach people how to actually help people through that.
Well, I hate that the biggest transformations happen at the worst fucking moments of our lives. And it always is. It always is. And I'm sorry, Jay, because I can feel, you just feel for people when
it sucks, man.
But and like, I know people say you sign up for it. I honestly sometimes think of us sitting there like writing our life story. Like, are we psycho that we're this is sure we'll
Can
take
I
that
can I can I intervene on that one? I think, Jack, I think we're riding up that life cycle, right? And I think we're both on our journeys. I think we were both meant to meet and all this kind of stuff. You know, there's a lot more stuff we're going through. But I think what the universe does have our back if we decide to trust it.
Yeah.
And I think what they did, what in that case, I had to go through what I went through to get to where I am now. I would not have had that.
Couldn't. Yeah.
Oh no, I wouldn't have, because I did. I was sitting in a position where, in this journey where I've gone through, and you know, people. I thought I was doing such great things with people being happy and things, but I didn't have any emotional, what's the word? Emotional intelligence. Okay, I had nothing. Okay, emotional intelligence. Working with relationships. You know, understanding my own self-worth and self-value and all those kind of things, and I only started thinking. But I think the universe does give you the hardest lessons, and it does protect you if you believe in yourself, if you believe where you're going to go. And I think with what happened with me, it woke me up. It did wake me up, and it was bloody scary. This is the 5th year of the journey, so it happened May 10th, 2000. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, well, it's gone 10 days over. I think it was 19th, actually. So it could have been, this could be the day.
We're in your 5-year anniversary.
Jeez, that's okay.
No
comment.
You can't plan it better.
So, and the thing is with that, and I said we're going all over the shop with a little bit, but that time when I had that spiritual breakdown or mental breakdown, whatever it may be, that started the process. And I'm not a drinker. I never have been. Look, I get on the booze and have some fun, but even at that time, the 20 years that I went, I had my limits, right? Yeah. So this is where it all happened. One day, and this is not a word of a lie. I was at this big gathering that we went through, and I decided to get on it. And I'll talk about that. I'll talk about the previous thing, and it all makes sense. In the end, I basically drank a whole bottle of 95% proof bourbon, right? Straight. And God knows what else I was drinking, right? Now, I got to a point where it said to me in my head, I know I got to stop feeling this shit, you know. I do that all the time. I get on it, you know. Then I stop. I'm fine, right? Done that for decades. In my head, kill the pain, and I did. I went to kill it. I went to kill the pain. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that. From then on, I woke up, and that's when the sort of the evolution came.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have done that. No, but that's what the voice said in my head.
Yeah.
And that's when I got all the help. So I used. That's when I met Greg and Michael. I met I went to a psychologist, which a beautiful guy, Keith, great guy. He helped me out. So I've been doing lots of therapy-based stuff. But the thing was with therapy, ladies and gentlemen, is I actually tried to grow myself. I take those tools and all the good stuff that I've got and bring it together. And here I am sitting today. And we've got, you know, podcasts. We've got these affirmation cards, all these things we'll talk about later. But I guess in any way, and what it's taught me is, you know, that we have to actually look at the way we've acted upon our lives, and I guess see everything that we've seen as a part of their journey. All right, it's simple as that. But why did we do it? So why did you go? What was your purpose?
As tools to assist you going forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you look at the relationship. As I said,
well, can I ask you a quick question?
Go for it.
So you said you went into some therapy, and have you always been drawn to a more holistic approach of healing, or did you go more mainstream and then there was a turning point where you decided to take a more holistic approach to it?
I'll put it this way. Yeah, it's mainly been holistic. Okay. But I know when to use, you know, doctors and stuff. It's just the way it is. I've been more holistic. I've been pretty fit and stuff around my life. Look, I had an eating problem, and the eating problem, I only just worked it out, Jack, the other day, what my eating problem was. I eat for, people, they get a hit. I get a hit because it's instant gratification, because I never had that. I used to have to wait for everything. So you actually down and it's about patience and all that stuff. It's about.
So is treats used as a reward based in your household?
No, he just never had. That's a good question, actually. I guess in some ways it was, but I think it goes to the point. If you look at a deeper and wider range of what happened, it was used more it's more as a fix, because your life's you feel like you get nothing out of life. You feel like your life's like
so
a
the
shit
sugar
house.
rush was the kind
you need
of
a hit. You need a hit.
that dopamine fix.
You need a hit,
and it's immediate because sugar is pretty quick, right?
That's it. So you get that hit, and it only lasts for about 10 seconds. That's why you keep it. Everyone knows about all this stuff. But I looked at it deeper when I spoke to Greg and Michael, and that when I did my shadow work, I go, why are you doing that? There was a particular incident, right? I had so much anger inside me for years, right? And there was one day we were doing the course, and the internet was stuffing up. And I go, for fuck's sake, mate, this fucking internet always fucks up when it was an important part of this thing, right? And Greg said to me, he goes, "You're not angry at the internet." Woke me up. That woke me up. And from then on, I've looked at why. And then you go back to some of the things that happened within your childhood, that you didn't have a voice. You'd never been heard, right? You'll be, oh, yeah, you're good enough now, but you can fuck off afterwards, right? You're always, but you're never given a proper chance. And you're always that scared little person, scared little boy. Now, I had a incident there. I'll probably come back to it soon.
Because you've chatted a bit and you brought them up twice now, so we should probably, because they probably were in your very early part of your awakening. You've mentioned it, but who is Greg and Michael, and how do they play into where we are right now? So you kind of woken up, you've had this major event with your family, you're kind of starting to take a more holistic approach, you're in therapy, and all of a sudden here's Greg and Michael. Who are they? How did they play a role in this?
Okay, so basically what happened was, after my Reiki master Deirdre James, she's been with me for years, she found a course for men. We can go about, men not holding in their feelings and all those kind of things, how they've been, how the revolution of men has been happening, all those kind of things. And basically, Greg wanted to get in there and talk just to blokes. Greg and Michael was going, it's called the Shadow War. It's getting inside yourself.
Practitioner introduced you to somebody who was doing more of a men's circle.
Say a men's circle. Let's go with that. Beautiful, perfect.
Sorry, just so that I'm clear. You talked about them a lot, and I never asked you. I just knew they were your mentors, but I never really asked how you guys connected to begin with. So introduce through a friend of yours that was a Reiki practitioner. Okay.
Yeah, so Deirdre is my Reiki practitioner, my Reiki master, and then she introduced me to Greg and Michael. So basically, at the end of the day, I sent in an email. This is what I want to do, and they selected me for. They did a free 8-week course just to get a couple of blokes together, have a circle, talk about life, and just basically put us on the track.
I always hear of women's circles, so hearing of something like that, I know they might not call it man's circle, but I don't hear about it enough.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so great. They are all out there, and I know there's other men that would probably benefit. So I just want to make sure we highlight that as something that was really significant on your journey. So continue.
Absolutely. No worries. I'll be doing that myself. As I said, that's where I'm sort of leading as well. But anyway, it was called the Shadow Warrior. So the Shadow, I never knew much about the Shadow. It's a bloody catchword now. It's fucking pissing me off. But anyway, it's a catchword now. The Shadow or the inner child and all that. But when we did it, he actually looking at yourself. And so he goes, right. And we did a series of, he gave us a planned series of actually how to divulge into yourself. And everyone thinks, oh, yeah, you think you're doing all right, which you are, but then you go deeper. So it's like peeling the onion layers, as they all say. So these two guys were very, great coaches. They're not out there and saying, they're not out there like, publicly doing everything. It's one of those people who you need to get them, you get them. And
Came to you because you needed.
I needed them,
Clearly,
or that. Yeah, we needed to connect,
and we agree. We love to. Me and Jay both believe that when you vibrate at a level, that you attract what you need, and he is obviously living proof that that happened in his journey.
Absolutely. So I vibrated. I needed to be there, and now I know why, because that's what I'm going to be doing anyway. That's where I've led my, putting all these puzzles. We'll talk about
like
later.
You
anyway.
just told us, every piece of your journey now has a place in your future. I love it.
Even this one, which we'll talk in a minute. Even him, we'll talk.
We'll get to towards the end, because we'll let you close this out with our famous closing, because we can't not for us.
That's right.
We'll let you kind of
this is great.
Break us down as to how we're going to end up with part 2 and a little bit about your journey to Canada.
That's exactly it. So basically, with regards to the men's circle, basically gave us here it is, safe platform to tell everything about it and not be judged, and actually have the help, the guidance, not being forced, which you get these bloody friggin', clowns, and clowns who have bloody degrees and shit and think they're the bloody rule of the world. A degree is an education for the betterment of you, not the betterment of your friggin' ego, like most of these assholes that have got. There you go. Cop that. So that's how it's the truth. Most of these guys don't have a bloody life anyway, Anyway, so they basically, and they called me out on shit. They absolutely called me out on stuff. And they go, and I'm sitting there going, oh, yeah, this is going to be great. Yeah. Oh, but they really got me to talk about, a hero story. Who do you want to be? And I'm writing these hero stories, which is who I want to be. It's basically, again, and you work out that you actually live in the past.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and what you were saying before, people live in the feeling. People who have crushes on people, right? Mm-hmm. Crushes or, I like it, but they live in the feeling. And if they go into the reality, they lose it. I did that. I know that. I was living in it for fucking decades.
Yeah.
How, even when I got to a point of I'll just quickly go back, progress to, and make this all make sense. We progressed when I was doing the pro wrestling circuit. As I said, how the fuck I got through that has got me fucked. But I was very, very fortunate. I had this fruity character I was playing. So this is where, the real me was coming out, and then the shadow was pulling me down, because I didn't know how to act here. I didn't know how to act here.
Yeah.
Or how to be here. I only knew how to be here. So now this is the progression that we've all gone through, and this is where Greg and Michael helped me link these two, and you can have a discussion between your child and your person, as you did. You hugged your inner child and all that. Those analogies are fantastic, because it's exactly what you're doing. You're sort of healing that. You're healing that and understanding where you were at. And that's where it came down when Greg and Michael did that. And I wrote up all the course notes and everything. And they basically were there, a safe area, a safe environment, unjudgmental, and guided me to what I did. And the number 4 thing that I'll say, I did the bloody work.
Yes. I know, everybody.
Fuck me.
There is work to do if you want to go down a path of healing. And it is.
Ladies and fucking gentlemen, you got classic example. I've known people around who go, I've gone to therapy. I go, okay, what are you doing now?
I know. They think they can go once a month and they're going to be fixed without doing the work.
There's stuff, and it's stuff, and and it's a case of having, understanding, and then I really understand.
I actually think society kind of leads you to believe that that's true, though. Like, people, they seem to have these really weird ideas that, you started therapy or marriage counseling, everything will be fixed and there's no additional requirement.
That's exactly right. And so when you go through, it was funny, Jack, going back to that, it's really funny that I came into that area, because I was having panic attacks when I was a kid, right? Now, my heart rate for 40 minutes was at friggin' like 190 beats a minute.
Wow.
All right. Okay. I used to sit there, and then I used to be scared to tell anyone, think I'm doing anything. I remember one day, right? This is where I was at, right? I got stung by a wasp, right? I remember sitting in the bed, thinking I was going to die. I couldn't tell anyone.
Out of fear?
Yep. Out of fear of saying something to the people who are looking after me. I'm just going to use those analogies because that's the way it is. Because I thought I'd be ridiculed and shit. That's how bad it was.
Oh my God.
That's where you get to a point where you think, I go back and think, I was fucked up, man. And there's probably a lot of people feeling like that. But then you get to someone like, I got told I'm too trusting. Yeah, I am. You know why? Because I'm too trusting. Went away before I had this awakening, which people still don't get. You get it, and everyone else gets it because I mean we're on the same level. People understand now. We can all read people's energy and feel people's energy.
Mm-hmm.
I can track people in my life, and I can talk to them once, and I know exactly where I'm going to be. I've got friends of mine. We hardly we don't talk much, but you can tell like that.
It's funny, yeah, because somebody told me they're like, you don't scope out everybody's Facebook page to like find out about them. I'm like, no.
No.
I was like, is that a normal? I was like, I just trust the vibe I got from when I was with them.
That's right. So you go back to that. So working with that and where I was subconsciously for 20 years, I just did what I did. But it was I remember the time I went to the hospital when I was 18, or the doctors, when I had these panic attacks. Now I understand it was cortisol, panic attacks, living in anxiety. Always simple as this kid. Oh, God, kids. Sorry.
Can be. They're here too, I bet.
The kids are there. All you remember is I'm always looking over my back. Always. And that's from a young kid. Did I do this right? Did I? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Imagine living that for 40 years, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I was doing. And then I'd go to a point where I try to impress someone, like, and you always say you want to be the cool kid versus the nerd. All those analogies came up. I remember at school, I used to go try and be with the cool kids, but again, I would do things to please them.
Yeah.
I go,
I know.
Like I was some sort of slave to the grind of some sort, but slave to them. And I just walked away in the end. It took enough, but this was the programming that I had.
So how many people from your early journey are still with you now?
Early journey meaning, sorry, whereabouts, how far
I mean, pre-awakening, we'll say.
Okay, right. So that's that's funny. Now I think you'll agree with this. Progressively people drop off and other people come in. Would that be fair?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And then what will happen is I always have a tier. Okay. Now the top tier, the top 2%, everyone knows everything about, and you got that. Then you got your 5% of people that you're very close to. I always make the analogy, Jack, and this is not to say marriage and all this other garbage, right? Which we'll talk about awareness next time. You can note that down, awareness of what's going on in the world, which basically gives you a different opinion of certain things like marriage, which is bullshit in that way. It should be a union, whatever else. Anyway, where was I going? Who would be the 3 to 4 people you'd have standing next to you if you were to make a commitment, had a commitment to someone else? And I thought about it. That's what I think of. And that's how they always say the 5 closest people in your life. Yep, you could do that. And then maybe you could do it sort of male and female to a point. Because obviously, I mean, it's rare to, I don't know, I haven't looked at the stats, but it's rare to have male and female besties, if you get where I'm going.
Yep.
Like you still have that.
Once you get to a certain age, I think.
Yeah, that's right. So you got you still got their best friends, but then you've got that confidant one. You see, you got that little bit above, which is probably the same sex, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, you've got those maybe 1 or 2 people. Ric Flair, a NWA WWF champion, always said, and wrestling's been the best school of my life. I fucking tell you right now, it bloody teaches you everything. He said, you'll have lots of acquaintances, or I call them mates. You'll only have a few friends. And I say you'll have your top 2% and your top 5%, which is basically your top 2% is about 3 to 4 people, which are that absolute in. Then you have your ones underneath, which will be about, I have up to maybe 10 or so. And then you got your friends underneath, which you get on with and you have in your life, but you come and you see them whenever. but you get on pretty well with them. If you know what if that makes any sense.
So you kind of have, I see that. And then I guess so. I guess you didn't bring or you don't have a support system from your early childhood that carried through?
No.
And I guess the reason I wanted to point that out is because when you do choose to take a path of enlightenment and spiritual healing, it does tend to look that way for a lot of us individuals who have these similar journeys. And if you're resonating to Jay's story, which I am sure a lot of you are, if you're listening, that is kind of the inevitable flow. But like Jay said, so many new, amazing people that you're very aligned with start to show up for you at just the right time. And before we move into the wrestling kind of side of things, because I want you to end on kind of the broader picture of that, what else from your early awakening or your early childhood or your early journey that you want to share with everybody before we kind of move on to?
I guess to a way, I guess the big thing was that, you know, it was always a struggle, and you're always looking over around your back, and you couldn't do anything, couldn't have any real friends. There's always interference from people. As I said, I'm using analogies. Everyone knows where I'm going. Okay. The foundation.
Yep.
Male, female.
I think family influences is going to be key for 95% of the individuals who resonate to what Jay's talking about today.
Let's put it this way. Let's go.
Foundational. You said it.
We were always isolated from the family. You know, families are bloody bad enough as it is, right? But we were all isolated because my family couldn't friggin' bloody stop fighting with everyone. Okay, for whatever reason, that's great. There's reasons, yes or no. But you've sort of been isolated, never did anything, sat on your ass and did fuck all. Bloody most boring. I'm surprised I'm bloody sane as I am. Had to make my own fun. But I remember, you know, being a fucking scared little boy, and that's what it was, because I was put the fear in. And when I've done my Reiki practicing, and you know, a couple of people, Karen Cleham, who's she's a medium, well, spiritual medium. I think I'll have to find exactly. She still work out exactly how to grab it. We had some sessions when she was living in Melbourne, and she just said, you can tell, you know, you can see facial, you can see facial changes. You can feel particular spots where you've had. Do you have problems with? I have a major issue, and I'm claustrophobic. Yeah, being locked in cupboards or something like that, right?
Yep.
In my room, because these curtains are so thick, and it's like black as like a cupboard. I remember when I was going through the spiritual awakening type thing and having these major panic attacks. I wouldn't know where I am, because you go into a deeper trance.
Like you were locked in a box or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And wouldn't know where I am. My God, it's just like, you know, and you get that. Now, what I do to counteract that now is, it does happen, not as badly, but I just go and get food and eat, just to change the mindset. This is what Greg and Mike always said. You've got a choice of how you work, and just change that mindset straight up. Pick up the guitar, do this, do that, just change it. And it does help a hell of a lot. It's not, it's something to be aware of. It's not like it's something to be aware of, and then you can use that and then analyze what's happening and where it came from, and be prepared to understand your pattern of behavior from that, and not go, oh, poor me. Yeah, good. You can say poor me, but the poor me is right. Let's see what we can do to move on from there.
Oh, Jay, thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing a lot of really deep stuff with us today.
Well, I'm glad you're interviewing me. There you go. How's that?
I'm sure it's going to open up a ton more for us to branch out on our second part, which I will kind of wrap up after. But I do want to really touch base on something that is huge in your life. You've mentioned it a few times. Wrestling has kind of been something that is what drew us together, because wrestling is something that was really prominent in my family growing up. My kids are obsessed with it now. So this was this instant bond. You can tell Jay is wearing his Bret the Hitman Hart outfit, and I am just 2 hours away from Calgary, where he lives, and that was always my favorite wrestler. It kind of brought us together. And tell us about it. Tell us how it shaped your journey. I know it might be a little bit similar with the characters you play, but this one has really been a staple in your life for such a long time. I think it kind of deserves its own umbrella.
Yeah, it does. It's big. I watched the first WrestleMania, obviously, when we went down. And again, it's about the fantasy, about being that big star, because you're so far down, you want to be that big star. But it was more that fantasy character type thing. See, wrestling is basically stunts with costumes and superheroes. A superhero to me was someone you want to be and want to aspire to because you're such a vulnerable kid. So I walked into that, watching Bret Hart and all that. So you're attracted to certain things. Loved watching the wrestling for years. And then I got into it into 97. Yeah, 96, 97, thereabouts. So I had my first match in 98. But then I started training as well. Mm-hmm. So I started training to be a wrestler down here. So I was going 2 or 3 times a week and learning how to break fall and all that. But it was a case of what it did, it showed me how I could be myself and express myself of what I've done and express the person that I am, the actor that I am. Like getting into acting and all those kind of things. I never got the opportunity to, like the stuff I've done now, wrestling, in the bands, I built myself. I never had any encouragement to do this shit. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I've got, karate behind me, black belt in karate and all that, big deal. Who cares? That was sort of given to me and it was great. It was part of the thing. And I just want to quickly say, I'm saying what I say, what happens when you're a kid. You're not grateful for them bringing you to where you are now, because without them doing what they were doing, I wouldn't be here, because I wouldn't have the support in that way. But there's give and take, which we'll talk about. Write that down.
Well, there's basic. Gives you something, give and take. Let's say there's basic having to raise your kid, and then there's showing up and supporting your kids.
Bingo. There you go. Well said. So,
and I think we all understand that, because we all have
absolutely. Absolutely. So we believe that wrestling was a school of life. So you learn about touring, you learn about people. The characters I played, I learned about psychology of how people work, but also I got a grasp of how I can entertain. And the trust I have to have in people throwing you around the ring, fuck me dead. I mean, I'm taking friggin' what they call the power bomb, lifting off your head.
I see. So this is why you say it's everything you needed to learn. So the confidence you needed to get up there to speak, the fitness to get up there, the trust in people, I see. Okay. So the school of life through wrestling.
Through training, through understanding, doing interviews, cutting promos. I can cut promos, all these stuff here I learned, but we also learned about life as well, how to actually talk to people, how to be. You can see another side of people with regards to it. The wrestling gave you the school of life where it teaches you life skills, how to respect people, how to train, how to be disciplined, how to actually trust. When you're in a wrestling family, you understand the hard work it takes to get to certain things. Opens your eyes to certain things.
Yeah.
Okay. It gives you a form of creative expression as well, which I never had. Yeah. I mean, I played the fruity characters. We'll put them up. I mean, I use the word fruity because you'll get demonetized with some of the words that come out, because some people get bloody offended when the bloody wig changes, But I played this character, and I was actually quite loved by the certain community too, because I used to give it to the people that hated them. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But I guess in a way of expressing yourself and understand, you get the opportunity to do this, to do entertainment. But as a person, I wouldn't have learned anything so much than being in a community that, you learn about discipline of training, understanding people. Guys, so much stuff that you learn. We talk to people. I talked to a friend of mine. I haven't seen her for yonks. And she was just saying, look, what it gave me and the social aspect, understanding how entertainment works is another side of the world. You got people go 9 to 5, and then people who live on the edge with entertainment stuff. And I knew that's where I was going in that way. So for that, having that experience and then having my story on top, you're sort of removing the mask where I was and bringing myself into what I've actually learned and being the person that I am, because that's the journey that you're on. And it's coming to write, and that brings me to, I've been writing, I've been doing podcasts with yourself, I've got these cards I've done, I'm writing, got 2 books, I went into a degree in phys ed, all those kind of things. So all these things came about because you actually have the guts to go and do something and go against the grain. Everything I've done, I've gone against the grain and taken a punt on myself. Every time I have, even the smallest thing, ladies and gentlemen, it's worked. You go against the, oh, no, sort of thing. And then, then we go into, then you start understanding where you have to be in life and the kind of people you're at, especially these days, especially as you said, we're coming to the age of Aquarius and all those kind of things, being aware spiritually of everything. We won't go into too much detail, but there's so much happening spiritually that we are all connected on that level. And but playing the characters of, I call it the Boy George character, and I call it the Felipe Rose character, which is basically the Indian from the village people. I sort of understood where everything was. But I did understand one thing also in wrestling. You understand that people, you've learned about ego. You absolutely learn about the ego of stuff, because there's people there that would want to take your spot.
Yeah,
and even
it's definitely going to have that competition vibe, right?
Well, there's more competition there. They'll try to hurt you on the fucking way out.
Oh, I know. I've seen the.
I got kicked out. I got kicked it.
My brother also does some the backdoor wrestling, not the backdoor, the backwoods, whatever it is. I mean, yeah.
I know he's had backyard wrestling, yeah.
And it's not for the weak-hearted. That's for sure.
But, everyone wants them. They taught me about human psychology. There's an ego, right? And it still comes to people pleasing, because now I look at it. I used to be the good guy. I used to bump for everyone and all those kind of things. But it only took a good person saying, what are we going to do? And I work with a few. This is why I work with IWA, which is one of the best promotions I work with, because we work together. They knew I could put on a good match and make them look good, right? But they also gave me my part. So, I mean, we did stuff to entertain the crowd. I mean, people hated us in Melbourne. I never got booked in Melbourne again because I was getting over. And they go, oh, no. And I know for a fact, I was the first, when I won the Battle Royal on Fox Sports TV, well, I was the only Victorian, the so-called Victorian that went, oh, I hate being called Victorians. I'm not one. I was the only one not from Sydney to get over. And the Victorians hated it. And I never got booked. And I said, oh, fuck you all. I'm going to Sydney. And I was in and out of Sydney for 7 or 8 years. Yeah. And then suddenly they go, oh, we can use this character here. Nah, fuck off.
Yeah, I
can bring that great character you got. No. Piss off.
Well, I love how everything has kind of come full circle in that sense. And you're
just one more thing to prove. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
One more thing to prove. They had these, like Hall of Fames, all that. Yeah, just a bit of fun, I've never been put in a Hall of Fame, and I was one of the bigger characters.
Oh.
Never. I don't care. No, I just proved
it is an ego-driven society that we live in, though, right? And if you're doing well, that means somebody else isn't. And unfortunately, in the world we live in, it's not necessarily how good you are; it's who you know. And
but this is the funny thing, Jack. When I go around and I say my character was Stefan Cool, Australia's greatest ass villain, right? And
say that one more time. What was
Australia's greatest
Australian's greatest ass villain?
Ass villain, yeah.
Ass villain. Okay.
Because I used to wear stuff with my backside hanging out.
I didn't know that. So we got assless chaps?
Yeah, that's why I'm still wearing the wasp band. But now it was basically I used to put makeup on my mate, and I had a manager who was a bloke. Go that way, right? Me and him. Well, but it's supposed to come out as glam rock and rollers, like Poison and all that stuff, and really glam up like the New York Dolls. And then suddenly that people, and it's really funny psychology when you see a bloke with makeup. My God, back in the 90s, they would rip us another one, early 2000s, and we just go, all right, we'll go along with it. So we did, and it was funny to this day. There's people I go and see, right? I work sort of not work, but with the rock and roll scene, it sort of interacts with the wrestling scene, and they go, remember you and Julian James, one of my close friends, mate. Love you, mate. Yeah, we did so many things together. I remember you too. Still remember you. Go. No comment. That's all I'll say.
Great.
I got told I played at Wrestle Rock with Wasp with Wild Child, and the commentators who were my mates for years, they knew. They go, well, he's back playing in Wild Child. And he hasn't changed. He still wears those. He's got more and more. He's got more crazy since the last time.
Yeah.
And everyone knew exactly what it was. They showed all pictures. I had feather boas and I had hot pants on that ladies used to wear. So it was all about the image. And this is what my trainer, George Julio, said. Do something to make yourself remembered. And I took that into real life.
Wow. And I think you kind of take that into everything that you've done, because you definitely have this memorable presence. So I definitely can see how utilizing the wrestling has enhanced your presence, especially when it comes to speaking on a lot of the topics that we talk about on our podcast, as well as the journey that you've kind of been taking us on your solo endeavors through Words of a Warrior. So I know we're all excited to kind of branch into what shaped your path and where you ended up, but I'm not going to let everybody get there today. We're going to put you guys on hold because Jay is kind of embarking on this really big milestone in his life, and he's taking off. Jay, give us a little bit of information about what's coming up here in the next couple months and when they can expect a part 2 from us.
Well, part 2, I reckon part 2, hint, hint, might happen, hint, hint, in live in Canada, maybe, I think. Let's put it this way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going on this journey of a Whitefeather, right? As one of my best mates said, he doesn't want me to say his name on social media, but he knows who he is. My brother from another mother, he knows. It's not Cortez, it's another one. There's Cortez Medford, love you too.
Well, I was going to shout out Cortez since you always shout people out, but I was like, I could do that. Kind of Sound Radio UK.
Sound Radio UK, fantastic.
Cortez, since I'm the host today, I should be playing the role. So there you go, Cortez. The rest, that's the one I remember.
That's all right. No, it's another friend of mine, but he said this is going to be the making of you. So I'm off to the US, I'm off to Canada, then I'm off to Japan. Now, the significance of this is, and we'll talk about it, we'll talk about it part 2 when I get over there. We'll hold part 2 off until I get over there. There's an absolute significance. This trip has taken a change in where I was supposed to go, but this is exactly what we're talking about, is about your journey. And if you let things go and come with the flow, the universe will guide you to where you need to be. Now, it's really funny. All I'll say is I'm missing AEW by 4 days. I'm missing SummerSlam by 4 days. When I'm in I can't get there. Yeah, it didn't work. It came up after I booked it.
Oh, okay.
There's a reason, but I've gone shit. But in the mentality that I am now, I go, right, hang on. There's a reason why I'm not supposed to be there.
Yep.
It came up afterwards. When you turn everything, like this, the final thing, if you turn your thing around and look in the mirror, as Blackie Lawless says in the Crimson Idol, and look in the mirror and let it talk to you, purely talk to you, and go and actually talk to it, not just give it negative, I'm shit. Tell yourself, I love you. See how hard that is, and then it'll start talking back to you. And then all that stuff will make sense. So if you listen to the Crimson Idol,
it's happening for you, not to you, right?
Go and tell yourself you love yourself in the mirror. And the reason why I say that is because it starts opening up your heart to where you're going to go, and you let your journey flow. So even doing this today is meant to happen. And if you can understand that, unfortunately, what happens is because we've been disconnected from the earth, we'll go into that later. As far as I'm concerned, in the universe, we're sort of like the Sims walking around, with all these nice things being bribed. But if you actually connect back into your heart chakra, which both of us have, and let the universe work through you, you'll find that, you have different things. And also the ego is really working for you instead of working to enhance you in line with the heart chakra, instead of working by itself and working with with your old subconscious programming.
I love that. Well, I'm going to allow you to take us out of here. But before I do, I'm going to thank everybody for joining us on a chat with Jay and Jackie. So thank you, Jay, for allowing me to do part one. I cannot wait to get into the meat and potatoes of everything that has happened on your journey. And I can't wait to see you live and actually
it's going to be great.
Real talk that's not halfway around the world. Not that I'm
not,
but I just can't wait to actually feel your vibe live.
No, it's going to be great. So, yeah, I'm actually going to go to Canada. I'm actually looking forward to Stampede and going to the home of this bloke. Oh, mate, look, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, just let it happen. I can say that, but things are going to happen.
Excuse me. In mysterious ways. I've already got my first manifestation around this trip, so I don't see why we can't continue that.
Exactly right. If I'm going to finish this off, and I'll let you close, but I'm going to say, as we do, get up in the morning, listen to our friend, Bret the Hitman Hart. He's the former WWF heavyweight champion, Hall of Famer, member of the Heart Foundation. And he always says, when you get up, be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. He'll be looking at this one day. I'm telling you right now.
Thank you guys for joining us as always. Well, not as always for today. I'm Jackie of Akashic Energy Healing. Thanks for joining us for a chat with Jay, all about Jay. And stay tuned for part 2. Love and light, friends.
Take care. See you later.